When Tiggy asked more questions like, "What are cloud horses?" and "When will they return?" and "How will I know when the time is right?" the ice badger just shook her head and said, "You'll know." At first, this had only made Tiggy ask more questions, but as she got older, she began to understand that Troutwine in winter wasn't a safe place. Ernestine was protective of Tiggy, always insisting she wore a heavy coat and a hat pulled down low over her face when she went out to find firewood, and telling her not to venture too far. The badger set was warm and comfortable. It had been built by an old water badger called Bocklin and given to Ernestine, along with baby Antigone Thistlethwaite. "Bocklin was the last of the water badgers," Ernestine would tell Tiggy as they sat by the stove, a blizzard blowing outside. "We're all ice badgers now. He told me to keep you safe." Tiggy had lost count of the number of times she had asked about her parents and why they had left her with Bocklin. All Ernestine would ever say was that Tiggy would find out one day. I know, Tiggy would reply, "when the cloud horses return or the time is right." "My job is to keep you safe, and keeping you safe means not staying out after dark," Ernestine would say, "avoiding the cats in boots, and never, ever having anything to do with the elves or their magic." When the Grand Duchess of Troutwine and the townsfolk had left, the cats had taken over. They carried swords strapped by their sides and wore wide-brimmed hats and expensive boots made for them by the elves. The elves lived in the sewers beneath the city and employed the cats to supply them with all their needs. Between them, the cats and the elves took almost everything for themselves, leaving the few remaining Troutwiners to forage for whatever scraps they overlooked. As for the cats and elves, their relationship wasn't an easy one. There were many quarrels and plenty of mistrust. The elves were secretive and dabbled in magical wares, which, if used carelessly or misunderstood, could lead to trouble. Old Tabby Elliott's dancing shoes took him prancing off towards the grey hills and beyond, and he was never seen again, while Marmalade Macduff's thinking cap overheated and made his whiskers fall off. These were just two of the magical mishaps of which Ernestine had heard. "Stay away from the cats in boots," she repeated. "They attract trouble, especially after dark." Tiggy had to admit, the ice badger was right. For the last couple of years, more cats had gone missing, always at night when they did most of their finding and fetching for the elves. A few times, as Tiggy returned home in the gathering gloom of dusk, she had seen strange white shapes moving through the snow-covered streets. One clear, crisp winter morning, she'd seen a snapped sword and large footprints leading away towards the bridge, and, just the other night, she'd heard the screech of a tomcat that stopped suddenly somewhere near the disused Bakery No. 9. The following day, as the snow was falling, Tiggy stepped out of the badger set and made her way along the frozen river towards Troutwine. There was an old timber store behind Bakery No. 9 that Tiggy had stumbled upon the evening before. It had been getting dark, and she hadn't wanted to disobey Ernestine by staying out too late, but she had made up her mind to return the next morning, early, before the cats could discover it too. She hadn't told Evangeline she was going out. She didn't want the badger to worry. As she reached the alley behind the bakery, Tiggy drew back at the sound of raised feline voices. Cats! "For the last time, what have you done with Colonel Fluffy?" "I assure you, Whiskers, I've done nothing. It's Captain Whiskers to you," said the first voice. "He might be small, but we can still cut him down to size," said a third voice, and Tiggy heard the unmistakable sound of swords being drawn from scabbards. Without stopping to think, Tiggy scooped up handfuls of snow and patted them into snowballs. She stepped into the alley, took aim, and threw the snowballs with all her might. The first snowball hit a short, plump, grey-furred cat full in the face. The second shattered as it slammed into the ear of a taller black-and-white cat. The third cat, long-haired, with extravagant whiskers,